a huge round of applause for Mr. Wallace Shawn. It's such a delight to have you here. Thank you so much, sir.
It's so great to be here. I already know half of the people here, it seems.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Are you on a first-name basis with most of them, or
Well,
should we address them all individually? So you, of course, have an incredible career. Playwright, actor, thespian. You've done it all, but you've almost done other things. You came very close to doing other things with your life, among them a shipping clerk, a messenger, possibly a cab driver. Is this all?
Well, I really was a shipping clerk and a messenger.
Okay.
The cab driver was what I was going to do when a guy offered me a job as an actor. And
makes sense.
So I never actually had the chance to crash into people. And I now have realized that I never really learned how to drive, and so it's a wonderful thing that I never became a taxi driver, and I don't try to drive anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, on behalf of the pedestrians of New York, thank you. So I guess I want to talk about that. You began your career as a writer, not necessarily an actor.
Right.
And you, at the very beginning, this is so fascinating to me, you entered a playwriting contest.
That's true.
That's
when
how it
I was a student.
A boy, yeah.
Well, I wasn't a boy. I was maybe 23 or 24.
Okay.
I saw that there was going to be a playwriting contest at the university, and the play that won would be performed. And I was excited and inspired by that idea to write a play. And then I decided that I would, when I finished my own play, I thought, this is great.
Yeah.
This play is amazing. I am not a jerk. I am a fine, even outstanding playwright, and I'm going to devote the rest of my life to writing plays. And out of some kind of pig-headedness or stubbornness or I don't know what, I have kept it up for 50 years, really, writing plays. I don't know why. Maybe out of just loyalty to that moment. I don't know why. Because it isn't because that many, some other people have encouraged me, and a lot of people have discouraged me.
Oh.
But I kept doing that.
Your level of modesty is quite something. Your plays are incredible. And I, for those of you who've ever gotten to see any of his plays or read any of his plays, I know mostly, of course, people know you from your work on camera, your voiceover work, but you are an incredible playwright, and you're just being very humble, and I won't allow it. But it goes, so in terms of you going from writer to actor, this is fascinating to me, and we talked about this. You weren't making much money as, I guess, a writer, and a friend of yours asked you to act in a Machiavelli play called The Mandrake, which only came up because you had translated the play.
Right. Well, this, I did first of all, I felt as a writer that basically the world, I don't know if you know this phrase, it is in, I don't know, Pinocchio of Walt Disney or I don't know what, but that the world owed me a living. I felt justified in borrowing money from any friend I had who had a job. And I didn't feel guilty about it. I thought, I'm an artist. I deserve to be supported, and these people have a job, and they should, lend me some of their money. Now, today, I sort of am aware of the fact that they worked hard to get that money. They didn't just have it. They were working every week to get the money. And I shouldn't have been quite so casual about borrowing it because I had no reasonable expectation that I could pay it back.
Oh, people still do this today. It's called GoFundMe.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But those are gifts, right?
Gifts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I did work a little bit. Every once in a while, I worked as a Xerox machine, copying as a copier.
You worked as a Xerox machine?
I did, yes.
Was this the old mimeograph?
Yeah.
How far back are we
No,
going?
we'd finally invented the copying
Okay.
machine. And I wasn't good at it. But I did that. I did work first as a messenger in if any of you have ever been to what used to be the garment district in New York, where there was used to be this, well, it's still the center of the garment industry, but when I was there, they actually sewed the clothes there. Now they just, arrange for the clothes to be sewed in China and other places. But I was a messenger and then promoted to shipping clerk.
Ooh.
And wasn't that great at that. But I still kind of know how to fold something if it's absolutely necessary, although it's easier to leave things on the floor, really. I
disagree.
Then my friend, director, wanted to do this play, an Italian play, My Machiavelli, and he got a producer to commission me. Writing plays, bizarre, weird, unappealing plays has never made me money, at least not to live on. I mean, it's like a small tip that you might get, not like a payment. But the producer gave me $1,000 to translate this play. And then when the director was going to put on the play, he said to me that he wanted me to be in it. And I was thinking of becoming a taxi driver, as I just said. And at that time, I was very self-confident about driving, and I found it entertaining because I only looked out the front window, and I really never looked to the sides or behind me. So it was like watching a movie for me. I just enjoyed myself until certain more knowledgeable friends they said, "You're overconfident in your driving." And
Glad you had these friends.
Anyway, my girlfriend was having dinner with the director and me, and the director said, "We'd like you to be in the play." The other actors, I knew the other actors, and I knew the director, and he said, "We'd like you to be in the play." And I said, "Oh, well," because I was just about to start working as a taxi driver, and my girlfriend, who knew that I couldn't really drive, said, "Well, you can't drive. Take the acting job." And so I did that, and it was sheer luck, really, like most of the things that have happened to me. But I did. There were people who came to the play, including Woody Allen's casting agent,
Juliet Taylor.
And so I was in Woody's movie called Manhattan, and
which is your first film.
And I didn't really have to do anything very difficult, but it was a part where they kept talking about my character for the whole movie, and I finally show up very near the end, and people have they've been expecting somebody who looked, more like Brad Pitt by the way the character was being described. And when I appeared, it was a kind of joke. I mean, at my expense in a way, except that Woody also doesn't look like Brad Pitt, and so it was all in good fun. But anyway, 42 years or something later, I'm here talking to you, so that's,
Yes.
Without having put in, I have not struggled to become an actor. I've struggled to become a more well-known and respected writer. And so I feel I've suffered a little in that area, so that I don't feel so guilty about having had very good luck in the acting world. Because I obviously know a lot of other actors who've struggled and struggled and struggled, because it's very, very hard to become an actor and even get any jobs. But I don't feel so bad about it, because I've had the experience of having to fight for my own writing and have a lot of people say cruel and hostile things about me in that area. So I don't feel that I've just had the easiest life in the whole world, but probably, the easiest life of anybody I've ever met. Let's put it that way. I have had. I mean, I've had good luck and more good luck, and I hope it isn't true that it all comes around in the end, because if so, I don't have necessarily that many more years left to accept the punishment, and it'll be very intense.
I think we need to rename this panel. This is so philosophical now. Well, I'm very grateful, I guess, that your struggles and maybe bad luck in the writing world led to you being the actor that we all know and love. So in a way, I'm grateful for your struggle, because the byproduct is your wonderful acting career.
Thank you.
And let's talk a little bit more about that acting career. So you mentioned the great Woody Allen, and you've worked with Woody on a number of films: Radio Days, Shadows and Fog, Curse of the Jade Scorpion. I'd love to know, what is his process like? What is his collaboration process like with his actors when you're on set with him?
Well, basically, if you are doing, he picks people, and he's worked, well, for his whole career with this same casting agent, and then with some of her disciples, people who've worked with her. So what the type of acting that he likes, which is also the type of acting I like, it's very understated, very natural and conversational, and he wants people to, he wants you to watch the movie and just not be aware that these people are actors, but just to think these are people talking the way they would talk themselves. And he picks for each part people that he thinks can be themselves very simply and naturally in that part. So, and he usually does not show the whole script to the actor. He just wants them to play their own part very naturally. So he gives them just their scenes. And I have to say, I've been happy to be in his most recent film, which has not been shown yet. And there's a good example in that. My character, I'm a nervous type of person. I play a nervous type of person.
No.
And I'm a hypochondriac in the movie, very afraid for my health. Those of you who have met me know it's actually true of me. But the man, so there's a guy, I did a scene with another actor, and the guy who is talking to me is presenting very casually and in a natural way some frightening health dangers for me. But he doesn't know that I am terrified by the things that he's saying. He would have no way of knowing that. And so Woody didn't give him the script, only his own scene. So the actor really didn't know that what was going on in the scene, which was about me, was that I was being more and more terrified by everything he said. The audience is going to know it, but the actor had no idea. So he played it exactly in other words, instead of, I can't tell you exactly but instead of saying it's not a movie about the coronavirus, but instead of saying, there's a frightening virus going around, it's in some cases fatal, and it's spreading more and more. He just using that as an example, he just said, there's this frightening virus going around. It's spreading around. It's going to different countries. It's fascinating. And this was an example of how this method worked. Anyway, if you're just talking in a natural way and he's happy with what you're doing, he says nothing.
Yeah.
If he doesn't like what you're doing, then it gets more serious.
I see.
But
so no news is good news with him.
Right.
Ah.
He's picked you on purpose because you're you,
Right.
and he thinks you'll do it like you, and it'll all be fine.
Well, that's wonderful. All right. Well, that's what it's like to work with Woody. Now you all know. I want to change gears because I read something yesterday, which is we are now celebrating the 25th anniversary of the film Clueless.
Yes,
And I'm sure you guys all remember your fine work in Clueless. And in fact, I read that they're doing a special re-release of the film. It's going to play in about 700 theaters later this year for like a long weekend or something.
Wow.
And I think, the tremendous staying power of this movie from 1995 until now, 2020, people are still talking about it. My question is, of course, are you and Ms. Geist still together?
Well, that relationship was built to last, absolutely.
It certainly was.
I mean, because, we both had knocked around a bit before we met, and these two characters, were ready to almost find a permanent home with each other. So I would say in character heaven or wherever they live, they're together.
Wonderful. Mr. Hall, Ms. Geist, making it work. Makes me very happy. Yeah. Yes. A round of applause for fictional relationships working out. Something else that I find so interesting about you is you are, to put it mildly, a prolific voice actor. And your first voice acting credit, though, doesn't even come until nearly 15 years into your acting career. It was a few episodes of the Pink Panther cartoon was your first VO credits. But shortly after that, of course, you famously played the role of Rex in Toy Story. And then from there, it's off to the races. You have voiced 100+ characters at this point, I think. No? Somewhere near there?
I don't
Vaguely,
know.
You don't know. See, I could tell you any number. You wouldn't know. Did you ever imagine that you would be more known, for your voiceover career than other things?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
asked and answered.
no.
No. So, I mean, is that do you have a preference on camera voiceover?
Well, I mean, doing, the animated things is not really as much fun as acting with other actors.
Well, all right.
Because the voice, I mean, animated films are the way they work. You're alone in a little booth or a tiny little room. Mm-hmm. And, I'm quite claustrophobic. I don't even like to be locked up in a little booth. You're just doing one line at a time, and sometimes saying that line several times to try to do it the way the animators need it to be done. I mean, they know what the picture is vaguely going to look like. They know, so it's not quite like really having a script, although usually you have read the script, but it just says, oh no, there are dogs in this forest. And
I believed it when you said it.
and then you do it, and then they explain to you, no, you see, really, you're saying that as if it's just a small forest, but actually this is the biggest forest in the world, and so you have to really yell, oh no! And, it's not as much fun, really, as acting with other people, because usually if you act with other people, there's no effort involved. You just respond to the other people, or at least that's how I do it. I depend on how I feel at the moment with the other actors.
Well, all right. So you prefer to be on set with other actors?
I do, really.
Okay, well then, if that's the way you feel, please let your voiceover agent know that I am available for all future VO work. Guys, we have 2 microphones here set up in the room. If anyone has questions for the great Mr. Wallace Shawn, now would be a good time to start lining up, because I want to make sure you guys have a chance to ask questions. Oh, and we've already got a taker.
Tell us about how the role of Zed, the Grand Nagus, Zek, the Grand Nagus, came about for you.
How it came about?
Yeah, like how did they pick you? Did you have to audition?
Oh no, they just. I don't know why. Frankly, now I'm worrying about it. I don't know if I was the first choice or the 10th choice, but all I knew was they called my agent and they offered me the part. And so it was, I still audition for things, but in this case, I didn't. The things that I get, well, let's put it the other way. If I audition for something today, I never get it. But when I started, usually I did get it. Because when I started acting, it was just a kind of a joke to me. I didn't really care whether I got the part or not. And that is a very good quality to bring to an audition. They, if they feel that you're desperate to get the part, you definitely will not get the part. They smell blood in the water, and they don't want that horrible sweating person around.
Yes, casting directors love indifference.
Yes, if you're indifferent, if it's just a joke to you, or you couldn't care less, you're more relaxed, and that's a good thing. But if you want it, then you're more tense, and they see that tension, and they think, I don't want to look at that tense person. Yuck, There
you go. All right, thank you. You, sir.
You did a movie years ago, My Dinner with Andre. It's one of the most. Roger Ebert said it was the only movie he's ever seen that doesn't have a single cliche in it. And it's a fascinating film. It's a story of two people having a conversation over dinner. What I want to know is when that movie was pitched. Did the executives kind of look and say, "What is this? How are we going to market this?" Or was it a movie that did you have trouble getting that made?
Well, this is a movie that a friend and I. It's a long story how it got written, but basically. The script was written by me and my friend Andre Gregory, a theater director, and we played ourselves in it, or aspects of. We played people with our own names in it, and sort of us. it's more complicated because it is us and it isn't in a way. But we never thought that it could be made in a regular, Hollywood studio. It was one of the early, what they call independent films that were made outside of the Hollywood system. So we raised money. Some of it was to be very technical for those of you who have any interest in it. Some of it was pre-sold to European television stations because we had a famous European director. And then there were various wealthy people, individuals, like a political campaign. The money came from, Bernie's campaign is very, very small donations. People don't donate $10 or $20. We didn't do that. We got money from a handful of wealthy people, and none of them expected to ever see their money back. It was not a serious investment. These were all people who were willing to lose money.
Because they supported the arts.
Yes, they were philanthropists or just, yes.
All right.
But that's how we, we had lunch with a lot of people and tried to tell them that the movie would be amusing and interesting. And I think originally we thought it would be on public television, which was a little more far out at that time than it is today. That's how we got the money.
There you go. OG independent movie. I bet you have lots of questions, don't you? And they're all riddles. Go ahead, sir.
On The Princess Bride, did you, with Andre the Giant, was it true that you were afraid of heights at the Cliffs of Insanity, and he said he would take care of you doing that scene, going up the cliffs?
Well, when I did audition for The Princess Bride, and I asked the people there, well, now, we're not really going to go up these enormous cliffs, right? Because that's not the sort of thing I would do. I don't know if any of you seen what I'm doing now. I'm on regularly, or not regular, but irregularly on a show called Young Sheldon, and I am somewhat like Sheldon and somewhat like Dr. Sturgis, the character I play, not sort of volunteering to go up big cliffs. So they said, oh, no, you won't have to do that. There'll be stunt men who will do that, So then I figured they would be just somehow faking it. Well, faking it was going to be in a studio with a 35-foot tall ceiling. I don't know what, this must be 25 feet. I don't know what. But it was a terrifying thing that you had to get up to on a forklift. And he did indeed take care of me, offered me his flask of brandy. And we were tied together physically with ropes, standing on a tiny little forklift. And I was like insane with fear. and he was very lovely and sweet to me. It was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely. Right ahead.
Thank you. I was actually going to ask for an anecdote with Andre the Giant, which you just gave.
There you go.
So if you have any other anecdotes from The Princess Bride that you'd like to share.
Well, I somehow, that was a very, very vivid memory for me because of my own fear, probably. But otherwise, I don't remember stories exactly about my life. I'm at a loss.
We could make one up for you. Yeah. There was that time he and Andre the Giant had an eating contest at lunch. It was a lot closer than you'd think. That's all we'll say. Yeah, there you go. Tell that one from now on. Ghostbuster.
Hello. When you first worked on Toy Story, did you ever imagine that it would be as popular and big as it is today with 3 additional films?
No, it was. I mean, because we couldn't. When we made the first one, we didn't know what it would look like or be like. So I just thought it was one more crazy job, really. And I had, it was a shock, obviously, that it became that it was so amazing when I saw it finally, and that it became this incredible hit. It's been pretty great for me, but I don't think anybody knew except John Lasseter and his colleagues how that the world would love it.
Yeah. Also 1995, by the way. Good year for you.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, we have time for one, maybe 2 more questions, so go for it.
How long did it take for you to go into the makeup for the Grand Nagus in Deep Space Nine?
Well, it's 3 hours.
Yikes.
Was it as uncomfortable as it looked?
It was good training for the coronavirus because you could not touch your face.
There you go. So yes. Young lady.
Hi, yes. I just was curious. You do have such an iconic voice, obviously, even with your voiceover work. Has there ever been a request from directors or can you not sound like you? Or do you think that that's an appeal that's why they hire you? You sound exactly like yourself.
Well, when I was in high school, in the chorus, there were some requests. I mean, the conductor said, your voice doesn't blend in. Could you try to make it more like the other members of the chorus? And I had never known that my voice was any different from anybody else's voice until I was, in my 40s and got into that voiceover thing. No, I didn't. But then looking back, I thought, oh my God, that's what that conductor meant. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go. I think you have, of course, a very iconic voice. I can't be in a casino and hear a dealer call out that they are changing bills without thinking of you changing 500. Not a lot of Vegas Vacation fans in the crowd. That's okay. You guys can watch it on your own. We are just about out of time, so I just wanted to say thank you so much. And as always, the film Mom and Dad Saved the World from 1992. Yeah, that's right. Your character, Cyborg, who was the star-crossed lover of Samaj, played, of course, by Kathy Ireland. One of my favorite parts of that movie is the end of the movie, the big reveal that you two are star-crossed lovers, and you run into her arms, and she lifts you up off the ground because she's a real tall broad. I can't tell you the impact that had on me as a short young man to develop a thing for tall, beautiful blondes. In fact, it gives me great pleasure to share with you and this audience that just last week I got a tall, beautiful blonde to agree to marry me, probably because of that movie.
Wow.
So thank you, Mr. Wallace Shawn, on a personal level. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wallace Shawn, come visit him at his booth.
Thank you.
We're here all day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, this is Alex Malari Jr., and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your Emperor commands it. Thanks for watching.